If you're a fan of the Nancy Drew PC games by HeR Interactive, you may already know that the series began in 1998. But did you know that in order to tell the full story of HeR's founding, we have to go all the way back to 1987? Welcome to Nancy Drew University, where we're hosting a weekly study sesh focusing on different topics from Nancy Drew history. This week, how HeR Interactive was founded.
It was love at first sight when two strangers, Patricia Flanagan and Robert Greeby, sat down on an airplane next to one another. The two realized how much they had in common. They were both from Albuquerque, they were both entrepreneurs. She owned a company that made children's furniture, and he designed and sold police training simulation software. And their company's offices were in the same building. They were married in June the following year and soon began helping one another run their respective businesses.
In 1990, Robert realized that his target practice software would translate well into video games, so he formed a new software company and he called it American Laser Games. They would begin by making coin-operated arcade games and would eventually expand into console and PC games as well. Patricia closed her furniture company and came to work as American Laser Games' Vice President of Marketing. Stay tuned for part 2 of the story.
Welcome back to Nancy Drew University and part 2 of how HeR Interactive was founded. Make sure to go back and check out part 1 and our other videos for more Nancy Drew history. Newlyweds Patricia and Robert Greeby, who had recently formed the company American Laser Games together, had a combined 6 children from their previous marriages. One day in 1994, Patricia noticed how difficult it was to find activities for their whole family to do together. Their sons loved video games, but their daughters were uninterested in the violence and male-dominated storylines that went along with them. She realized that no video game companies were making games for a female audience and saw the opportunity to reach a new market.
Patricia took her idea to American Laser Games, who agreed to create a new division of the company just for games for girls. They named her the executive director for the division, which they called Games for HeR Interactive Adventures. They eventually shortened this to just HeR Interactive, and in 1995 produced their first game, Mackenzie & Co. Mackenzie & Co. was a high school simulation game that allowed players to drive around town with friends, go to the mall, flirt with guys, etc. It sold 80,000 copies, which made it a huge success for the time. Stay tuned for more on HeR Interactive in part 3.
Welcome back to Nancy Drew University and part 3 of how HeR Interactive was founded. Make sure to go back and check out parts 1 and 2 and our other videos for more Nancy Drew history. The success of HeR Interactive's first game, Mackenzie & Co., allowed them to create their own proprietary game engine and release a game based on the Vampire Diaries in 1996. Around the same time, they also announced that they had secured a licensing agreement with Simon & Schuster to produce Nancy Drew games.
By now, HeR Interactive had become wildly more successful than its parent company, American Laser Games. ALG had a lot of financial trouble, had to lay off most of their staff, and had other behind-the-scenes issues which eventually resulted in HeR Interactive buying them out. The Greebys left the company, and in 1997, HeR Interactive moved to Bellevue, Washington, and installed Megan Geyser as their new creative director. She would eventually serve as CEO and later Chief Creative Strategy Officer.
In 1998, the first Nancy Drew game, Secrets Can Kill, was released on HeR's proprietary engine, followed by Stay Tuned for Danger a year later, which featured their first 3D characters in a game. Message in a Haunted Mansion debuted in 2000 to huge success, which meant that the company would now be able to release 2 games per year, a trend that they were able to sustain for almost 15 years.
Stay tuned for more on HeR Interactive and Nancy Drew history.